So we talk a lot about lutes and lute song, but what actually is the lute?
Well, that is a very big question to answer. The lute is a very large family of instruments that was around between sort of 1200 and 1800. A much easier question to answer is, where does the lute start? And the lute originated in an Arabic instrument called the oud, which is still played today, and which arrived in Europe through the Moorish conquest of Spain. From there, it rapidly became on trend, and by 1200, the European cousin of the oud, the lute, was being played throughout Europe.
Interesting. So why does it look the way that it does, and why does it sound the way that it does?
Well, the soundboard is doing a lot of the work in producing the sound, and this sound hole, as you can see here, is usually very intricately designed, very patterned. Mine is very bling.
Beautiful.
Thank you. The round back of the lute, which is very iconic, goes some way towards the instrument's lightness and towards its volume. It's surprisingly loud because the bowl shape focuses the sound to the same place. Of course, the other element for the volume of the lute is the strings, which are strung in pairs, what we call courses, and they're tuned to the same note. So 2 strings are louder than 1. Of course, the extra amount of tension from the strings can create some pressure, and the other defining feature of the lute, I would say, is this bent neck, and this is here to focus some of that tension here on the nut rather than on the pegs.
So in its time, who actually was playing the lute?
Well, by 1500, the answer to that was whoever could afford one, and that was not very many people. Lutes were very expensive instruments, expensive to make and expensive to maintain. It was about as expensive as owning a horse. So because of this, and because of the very refined sound of the lute, it became very associated with those who were at the kind of top end of the social pyramid. Aristocracy, courtiers, intellectuals, and people, crucially, who wanted to be seen to be at that level. So we can also include posers to this category.
So that leads me to the next question, which is a bit cheeky. When did the lute go out of fashion?
Never. It never went out of fashion. I'm still cool. Well, between 1800 and 1900, Europe kind of forgot about lutes.
Was that something to do with the rise of the guitar?
Funnily enough, no. The guitar is a very different musical family. It had much more to do with the French Revolution. So, at the latter end of the 18th century, this culture of intimate, salon, aristocratic concerts, and this culture that had so prized the lute, really fell out of fashion. And what went into vogue was big subscription concerts, public subscription concerts, with big instruments, orchestral forces, this kind of thing.
Okay, so you could say the lute was emblematic of that sense of status that went out of fashion.
Precisely.
Interesting.
Unlike the lute, the guitar, which was always very popular and played sort of throughout society, never lost out.
So when did the lute make its big comeback?
Well, in the start of the 20th century, there was a lot of interest in early music, and lutes made a very welcome reappearance, and throughout the 1900s they got more and more accurate, and more people started playing them, and lute has now made a very healthy return, never to leave again.
Interesting. Thank you.